Welcome to the Positive Persistence Podcast, where ordinary people inspire your extraordinary success. What's up, family? Our guest today is an author, he's a speaker, and an Ironman competitor. And if that's not enough, he's also a remarkable leader whose journey has taken him from serving in the U.S. Army to becoming a dynamic leader in the entrepreneurial landscape. Now, he is dedicated to helping individuals and organizations navigate the complexities of business, emphasizing the importance of mental toughness and personal growth, all the things that we talk about on this show. Scott Lackey, welcome to the show.
Thank you, my friend. And it is great to be here with you on this beautiful day. And I'm excited to talk about this because I know it's something that both you and I deeply believe in. And I appreciate being able to share my, if you will, input on the topic in our conversation today. So thank you for the platform. And I hope everybody enjoys this conversation.
Yeah, I know they will, because I know that you have gotten a lot of education for us. So let's hop right in, Scott, and let's give our members just a little bit of background. And I guess this is a question for you. It probably has a wide array of answers, but your journey serving in the U.S. Army, thank you for your service, by the way.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
To becoming a successful entrepreneur is fascinating to me. So my question is, how did your military experience, I guess, shape your approach to business and resilience in the face of challenges and setbacks?
Well, you hit one of my all-time favorite words that most people don't talk about these days, and that word is resilience. And when I left the military, I did 4 years of active duty, spent 2 years in Germany, was over in Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, with the 1st Infantry Division, the famous Big Red One. And that 4 years of active duty also led to 4 years in the National Guard. I said 8 years total. But the 4 years of active duty were the most transformative to me. And I left the military with my three favorite words, three of my favorite words I use all the time in life, which is make it happen. Right? Those three words, make it happen, are the embodiment of many different things. Words that you live by and operate under, we communicate to the audience. For example, make it happen means you're disciplined. Make it happen means you understand what it means to execute, right? And execute is not a negative word in the military. Execute is the art of getting things done. So you are disciplined. You are good at the art of getting things done, right? You are resilient. You're focused. That's what make it happen means. It means bring to bear all the necessary things you need to bring to bear to break something in your favor. Okay? And I'm emphasizing that because those gifts that the military gave me and that I love and live by, as fast as they will help you in the business world achieve breakthroughs, they'll also equally take you to places you never expected to be. Because we're capable of making the wrong decisions, right?
Right.
And then we've got to recover from those decisions. And so when we make bad decisions that take us to a place we never expected to be, then guess what? Make it happen can be your greatest gift of helping you come out of the very place that you led yourself that you didn't expect to be. So that military was very formative to me in my life with all of those skill sets. And yes, they did take me to places I didn't expect to be, but they also were a key part of me recovering from those failures. And again, teaching me new lessons, additive lessons, right? That I bolted onto that to get to this place in life that I am today.
I'm curious because one of the things that we talk about a lot is remembering your past wins, to be able to remember what you've been able to achieve in the past so you can understand what you're capable of doing in the future.
Right.
And I have to imagine that all of those transformative experience that you had where you were able to overcome, I would imagine, adversity that most of us can't even imagine, right? You're able to always tap into that. Like that's going to be with you forever. And whenever you have a challenge or an obstacle that comes your way, you've always got that toolbox of experiences to tap into, right?
Yeah, that's a fair statement. But I do have to say, and again, I'm only going to speak for myself. And I love the word toolbox because as we get older, there's an expectation that we have is that we add more tools to the toolbox. That's wisdom, if we could use that word, the toolbox of wisdom. Okay.
Right.
So inside that toolbox of many tools that I have, when lightning strikes, these are the words that I like to use. When lightning strikes, and things are not going the way they're supposed to go. Something has changed significantly in my life. And I reach into that toolbox. I have to say, honestly, for the listeners, that some things that I try to tap into that happened many, many years ago, while I remember them and I have the badge and the medal
Hmm.
inside me,
Hmm.
it's not as powerful of a recovery tool anymore the older I get.
Yeah.
So, yes, I lean into that experience. Hey, man, Scott, you remember when you did this? And then that voice comes in and it wants to say, that doesn't matter. You're here and now. That was yesterday, not today.
Yeah.
What was the famous 80s song? What have you done for me lately?
Yeah. That's right.
So that's that voice that comes in our head. What have you done for me
Hmm.
lately?
Hmm.
Okay. So yes, I do lean into that, but I wanted to share that with you that as much as it is a tool, I have to say that where I'm in my life right now, the thing that I lean into, I'm going to call it my own superpower, is that there are three people that I deeply love in my life, deeply, deeply, deeply love in my life. It's a sacrificial love. I would do anything for them. Okay. And so when life isn't going or hasn't gone the way I expect it to be, I may not be able to get up for myself some days, but I know three people in my life I will get up for. And that's my wife, my son, and my daughter.
Hmm.
Right. And so that's a little bit of a spin, not intentionally necessarily, but I'm not discounting all of those life experiences. They have proven to me that I can do hard things. I can carry a burden a long way. I can recover from extraordinary failures. I know the path forward to get out of the hole. Yes to all of those things, but you still have to answer that question: why are we doing this? Is it for me? Is it for something? Is it a possession? And no, it's not. It's not about possessions, places, or things. For me, more than anything, the center mass red dot on the bullseye is three people in my life that I deeply care about that motivate me to do things, hard things, because they're in my life, and that's my family. That's why I love. You said this before on some of the other stuff I've watched you do, and of course you have it behind you, and I know how important that is to you as well.
Yeah. Love is a magic potion. It's a very strong, energetic, we'll call it tool, if you will. That's super important. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Now, you mentioned that you've had some tremendous failures in your life, being able to come back, and I want us give our listeners and viewers a little context about one of them, and that's we know that you've just admitted that you've had some significant setbacks.
Right.
Now, something that may be a little more recent in your past, I guess, that you might be able to dig into is that losing a company you built after raising millions of dollars in funding. Can you share like a specific moment from that experience and how it impacted you and how it impacted your personal growth at that time?
Yeah. So one of the examples I give, this is just one particular chapter in my book, and I speak to this in great detail. So I actually invented my second invention was a product that I patented, and it was a product called a childhood health passport. And so, family was involved in the business. Obviously, had investors involved in the business.
Hmm.
So the product was patented, and the business plan was doing well enough that a private equity firm invested $3 million in the business plan. And I can assure you, I won the business lottery. I'll never forget the day that we signed the contracts and faxed them back and forth, the signed copies, and the wire transfer happened. When I got off the conference call, the very next thing I did was call the bank back in the days when you could call the bank and a human would answer the phone.
You're right.
And I said, hey, they knew who I was. This is Scott Lackey. And I
Hmm.
just wanted to call and check the balance on the business account. She said, no problem. Looks it up. She gives me the number. And I freaking started tearing up, man, because I just could not believe what I heard.
Yeah.
Right. 6 months later, the same people that believed in the business plan fired me and the management team and stole the company.
Wow.
I signed off on all the personal guarantees at the bank. I pledged my patent as a asset to the company. I no longer had ownership of that anymore. Everything was gone. My wife was pregnant with my daughter, and we had a 2.5-year-old son. How do you like to how do you like to go home and how do you like to drive up to your house after that happens that day and look at your house and realize it's really a funeral home because there's a dead man walking in,
Mm.
right? So that's just one lightning strike in my life. I've had bigger lightning strikes than them, bigger lightning strikes from that. But what I learned in that lightning strike, many things, but one of the biggest things, and you speak to this, we started this conversation out this way. One of the extraordinary things that I learned was no matter what happened, it can never, ever, ever be about what happened. It has to be, and it can only be about how you respond to it.
Mm.
That's at 50,000 feet.
Oh, can you repeat that, please?
Yes. No matter what happens to you, I don't care what it is, no
Mm,
matter what happens to you, it is never about the event. It is always about how you respond.
mm,
That's
mhm.
it. And you have to make a choice. And by the way, the absence of you making a choice, we all know is a choice. And you will reap whatever it is you sow by not making a choice. And I do want to add one thing to that
Yeah.
nobody ever wants to talk about. And again, this is a self lived lesson, but I believe this is part of our human condition. We are so scared of changing and so scared of evaluating the truth with ourselves that we look at the pain we're living with and the direction we're going, that something inside it tells us we're going the wrong way, that we always underestimate the damage of continuing forward will add up to. Always underestimate it. And we always overestimate the pain of changing to do the right thing so that we can restore our life to being the person we're supposed to be. It's a game of opposites, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's that conundrum of, do I want to feel the pain of my current situation, continuing on, not changing it? Do I want to feel the pain of regret later on in the future for not changing it? Right. And you use the key word choice. It is our choice. It's always our choice, no matter what and
No
how we
matter what.
respond.
And that's why because what you said is absolutely true. It is equally true that it is never about the event itself.
Mm,
It is about how you respond to it
right.
because it's a choice.
Yeah. And I really, and I heard this the other day, that it's so important to have resilience before you need it.
Oh, what a beautiful way to say it.
Right? Because how do you bounce forward without it?
Yeah,
And I think it's that dealing with that pain of discipline
yeah,
to be able to be disciplined. So you build that resilience as opposed to having the pain of regret
yeah,
when you don't have it when you need it. Right.
yeah.
So I guess it's pick your pain, right? But one is more fruitful than the other.
Yeah,
Now, Scott, I know that you emphasize moving from external success to finding wholeness.
yes,
And I was hoping you could unpack what that means.
sure. So we all know what external success is, right? When you introduced me, and many people will do this before a speech I'm giving, I call them scoreboard moments, right? The
Mhm.
highlight reel.
Sure.
Scott's an Ironman. He's a patented inventor, and they say it so beautifully, right? And I wish they could hear what's going on in my head when I hear that about myself. Because what I hear today, not 10 years ago, or maybe longer than that, but what I hear today is, I don't care about any of that crap. Okay.
Mhm.
But man, let me tell you, there was a time in my past where I needed you to say that because I needed you to affirm who I was for
Mm.
me.
Yeah.
That's what I'm referring to when I talk about these external affirmations. It could be, Ian saying this to me and affirming me. I need that. So I do things, I behave a certain way, I say things, I may even lie so that I can get this affirmation from the world. Or perhaps it's a possession. It's driving that truck, that car, that vacation that I post all over. I don't know, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I've done all of that stuff. I made the phone call to the bank. I remember the balance. Okay. I did all of those things. And every single time I arrived for these external opportunities, shallow water, man. Every time. And I kept saying, this can't be it. And then the world would say, go a little further, Scott. You got it. Just around the corner, just over the hill. And the deeper I got. So in totality, take all that in totality.
Mhm.
It wasn't until I understood something about myself that I really began to understand that unpacking of the self. And it's this simple sentence for the listeners. The more I sacrificed of myself, the more of myself I found. And
Mm.
so it was through sacrificing parts of myself. I'm not talking
Mhm.
about limbs, okay?
Right.
Talking about limiting beliefs, talking about fears, talking
Yeah.
about lies, talking about broken promises. The more I sacrificed those things, I began to rediscover the person I was always supposed to be. And that gave me enormous fulfillment. And we talked about this at the very beginning, I think, about when you understand what your purpose in life is and your heart is in alignment with that. There is no other fulfillment you will ever feel like that in your life. There is no possession, no trip, no vacation. There's nothing, right? That
Yeah.
does that. So what I'm really saying is that to unpack alignment and wholeness and fulfillment, that is an inward process. And so my challenge to people I speak to, my challenge throughout the 24 chapters of my book is to address this in great depth of what does it mean? What does it mean and what does it look like to turn around and face oneself and say, how much longer are you going to live this lie that you've been living for so long now you think it's the truth? That's just
But
one of many questions.
but Scott, it's so comfortable to sit in this uncomfortableness, right? It's so comfortable for me to continue to live this life where I'm not where I want to be. I'm not achieving the goals. I'm not living my dream life. And it's not because of me, it's because of external situations.
Yeah.
So, are you telling me now that I need to look inward in order for me to change my outward environment?
1,000%. It's the only way it's going to happen.
1,000%. Yes. I obviously asked that question in jest because I think that people need to realize that
Yeah.
your outward experience in life will not change until your inner self does.
Yeah.
You know?
There's a thing I like to share with people. I can't hear what you're telling me because what you're doing is screaming at me.
Mm-hmm.
If, ready for this, if the outward was going to fix the inward, you and I wouldn't be talking right now
Right.
because that's what everybody in the world's pursuing is the outward. And they're not fixed and they know it. Matter of fact, listeners on this call know right now. I think I told you earlier, right? The title of my book is Wake Up to Die Again.
Yeah.
So let's talk just about that 1 second on this topic.
Mm-hmm.
There are millions and millions of people, I interact with them, that are waking up every day, giving a little bit of themselves up every day, and they think there's no risk. It's okay. I'm okay. I'm going to be okay. I can give up a little bit more today, right? Being comfortable, as you said, in life. How about this? They're really not comfortable. They're just comfortable enough to give away a little bit of themselves because they're scared of the pain of giving into everything. So we'll give up a little bit. But then we wake up one day and we're 32, 37, 44, 58.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere we wake up and we're standing in the mirror and there's that little voice in our head saying, hey, man, you're not where you're supposed to be. Do you remember all that stuff we talked about in college, in the army, that first job, when you were a kid? Remember all that stuff? What happened? How'd you get here? What did you do to yourself? Boy, there's a reckoning coming. But oh no, no, no. Let's medicate that. Let me make sure I drink that 6-pack when I get home every day.
Mm-hmm.
Let me make sure that I charge up those credit cards and get that vacation in every year. Whatever. Pick your poison.
Right.
Right? None of that outward stuff is solving anything.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're willing to do the homework and look at yourself inside and ask those hard questions, how did I get here? Tell yourself the truth. I just want to end with one thing, and it's two words, broken promises. Many people don't trust themselves anymore. And they don't trust themselves because they got to where they are because they broke all these promises.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to go through this reconciliation myself. I had to learn to retrust myself. And I started with the very, very basics, man. I mean, really basic stuff like, okay, for 7 days, I'm going to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Not working out, just getting up at 5. This is way past the military. You follow me?
Yeah.
So, you know, if that's where people are, looking inside is if I may say this succinctly, looking inside is going back and reevaluating those broken promises, and then taking baby steps, jumping lily pad to lily pad, of figuring out the basics of learning how to trust yourself again.
If you're listening to this, there's a good chance you're what I call a sidelined achiever. You know you're capable of more, but right now you feel stuck, a setback, or like life has benched you. And maybe it was an injury, a diagnosis, a layoff, a failed business, or maybe even a broken relationship. Something knocked you off your path and left you wondering, what now? How do I even start moving forward again? You're fed up feeling this way, but you don't have a clear roadmap out. Here's what I want you to hear. You are not broken. You are not done. You are not disqualified. You're just sidelined. And sidelines are where legendary comebacks are built. And that's exactly why I created the Rinse Method. It's a framework I used to go from being told I'd never run again to crossing a marathon finish line. Rinse is a simple, repeatable process that helps you build real daily resilience. Turn adversity into momentum, tap into the strength you already have, and hold yourself capable of doing what once felt impossible. If you're tired of being stuck and you're ready to create your comeback, not someday, but starting now, head over to watchmemindset.com.
I think what I'm hearing you talk about is building discipline.
Oh, well, and resilience and execution.
Yeah. And I know that you're an advocate for keeping promises to yourself to build discipline. Can you elaborate on how that principle alone of just discipline has impacted your life? Like, and you're talking about just waking up at 5 a.m. Like, what are some other things that you've been able to accomplish because you went through the pain and discomfort of being disciplined?
Yeah, I'll give you the short, funny answer and the long, succinct answer. The short, funny answer is my wife will ask me all the time, "What are you doing?" And I'll say, "I'm doing something I hate right now." And she knows what I mean by that. It was 10th on the to-do list because I hate it and I don't want to do it. So I go to the 10th item and do the 10th item because we're going to get that 10th item off the list before I do number one, which is something I love to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So there's the short answer. She sees it all the time and she laughs at me. You're crazy.
Yeah.
All right.
Do
Now let me
the
give you
hard first.
do what?
Do the hard stuff first.
Do the hard stuff first, man. And do the stuff you don't like first.
Yeah.
Not just hard, even the things you don't like. So now I'll give you the Ironman answer.
Yeah.
Okay, 140 points.
Just for our listeners and viewers who might not know what that entails, can you break down what the Ironman actually is?
Sure. Ironman is a one-day, single-day race. It is made up of a swim, a bike, and a run. It is considered to be the hardest endurance race a human can do. It is a 2.4-mile swim, transitioning into a 112-mile bike, transitioning into a full marathon 26.2-mile run to get to the finish line.
Man,
yep.
Crazy.
Yep, and it gives me chill bumps. I've said it a million times, and I still get chill bumps saying it because I love it. I was assessing with myself during COVID. Little voice came on my head during COVID. Everything was fun. Working from home for a few months. My wife was off. She wasn't teaching. We're taking lunch walks together. The weather's beautiful. You know, everything's great. Kids are healthy. Love my wife. Everything's great. Little voice popped in my head. Hey, man, you're not where you're supposed to be. By the way, that's how that, just as a side note, that's how that became chapter 1 in my book. You're not where you're supposed to be. It's from that moment. So what are you talking about? Not where I'm supposed to be. Everything's great. Just kept over and over again. Not where you're supposed to be. Not where you're supposed to be. And that was where I really reconciled this whole concept, this whole thing that I've talked about broken promises. Don't know where all that came from, but it did. And one of the big broken promises in my life, one of many, was I had promised myself for 20 years I was going to do an Ironman race. And so once I acknowledged that that was a broken promise, then I was forced to make a decision. You in or you out?
Right.
I couldn't be out. And I said, okay, I'm in. And I registered for Ironman, Arizona, Tempe, Arizona. And I didn't tell anybody in because I was scared I was going to break my promise.
Yeah.
So the answer to what that looks like is, about the broken promises and all those things is
Mhm.
that I had to make decisions every single day. I had to answer a question every single day. Scott, what are you willing to sacrifice today? And I had to answer it over and over and over. And ultimately, I realized that what I was sacrificing was myself in the process.
Mm.
That's what made me look inside.
Mhm.
Doing the Ironman race changed me as a human being forever. Okay. I don't even know the other person anymore. That's how much it changed me. So
Yeah.
that's what it practically looks like is waking up every day, and you can wake up to die again and lose and give away a little bit of yourself every day. Or you can wake up to die again because you choose to do it and you make sacrifices and you become a better version of yourself today than you were yesterday. And you
Mhm.
give that gift to yourself. And when you give that gift to yourself first, then all the beneficiaries come after that. Who is that? Your wife, your husband, your son, your daughter, your aunt, your uncle, your mom, your dad, your neighbors, your community, your city, your colleagues at work, the people you talk to, right? That's what doing the hard things, making those decisions, revisiting broken promises, and making that commitment to jump lily pad to lily pad to move off of those broken promises so that one day I could cross the finish line and hear my name called out as Scott Lackey, you're an Ironman. But I didn't become an Ironman that day, man. I came an Ironman with the stitches and all the stuff that I went through for 11 months.
So I mean, all of that leading up to the goal, which is crossing that finish line, you were what I like to call embracing the suck
Yeah.
all the way through. Like you were, to use your words, making it happen. And I know that in your new book that is recently released, Wake Up to Die Again, which we've talked about, that delves into themes of identity and pain, like
Yes.
embracing the suck. I guess how can embracing that pain lead to personal empowerment and growth?
Yeah. The way I describe this in my book is that the gifts, I say literally, the gifts are in the pain. Well, that sounds a little counterintuitive, Scott. Well, then I want you to look in the mirror of your life.
Right.
In the mirror of your life, I think it's going to be reasonable to say, certainly is of me, that all of the greatest lessons you ever learned came from a painful event and success taught you nothing. If that statement is true, and it is as far as I'm concerned, then I can say the gifts are in the pain.
Mhm.
So then, Scott, are you saying to me that I should go seek out activities that create discomfort so that I can grow from that and chisel off the things that no longer serve me and make me into a better human? Yeah, you bet I am. And that can come in the form of maybe you need to go out and run, or maybe it has nothing to do with running. Maybe you need to go out and serve in something. I use the Ironman as an example because that's what I did.
Yeah.
I went out to break myself. I wanted to find out if I squeezed hard enough, what the heck came out because I wasn't in the military anymore. That tool was rusty in the toolbox.
Yeah.
So to the people listening, I don't know what you love in life, but if there's something that you're passionate about, and I often encourage people, if you don't have a clue what to do, find something you can volunteer and serve in because the act of service is an act of sacrifice. And when you are willing to do stuff like that, you'll get direction. I promise you, in my opinion, you'll get direction. Find something to serve in. Keep your mouth shut, raise your hand, serve. And that will help give you direction of what it means to go out and battle that.
How do you think that affects somebody's identity? Because I want to talk about that a little bit because I
Mhm.
think that individual self belief comes from their identity, how they view themselves, or more
Yeah.
importantly, which really isn't more importantly, but people, I think, value it as more importantly, how others view them.
Yeah. So let's talk about identity, right? That's a question we all have to answer. We answer by our behavior. And here's how I answered it for myself. I actually write it again, another topic I write about in the book is there was a time where my identity was in all the possessions that I had. There were plaques on the wall, medals, pictures of being in the desert with burning oil wells behind me in Kuwait, holding a captured AK-47. I had the wall of fame in my office so
Mhm.
that everybody that came by, he must be a good guy. Okay.
Yeah.
And one day, for some reason, I began to notice how people changed what they thought of me based on what was on my walls. And I began to say, wow, who are you without that?
Mm.
What are the crutches
Yeah.
that you put up on the wall to ensure that you're imposing the image you want on everybody? And I got to
Wow.
tell you, that made me want to vomit.
That's powerful right there.
Ian, I took everything off the wall. I took everything off the wall, put it in boxes, and I took it home. And there was nothing left in my office but a single picture of me and my wife and my daughter. That was it. And everybody in the office was in shock. What the heck's going on? I said, nothing's going on. Just didn't want it up there anymore. But here's what they didn't know: the truth. The truth is that if this is the way I felt, if people cannot judge me, believe in me, see in me through my behavior, my interactions with them, yes or
Mhm.
no, sir, please and thank you. Can I help you? Would you
Mhm.
help me? I need help over here. If I can't, in a human relationship, convince somebody through my behavior that I am who I think I am, is the problem with them or with me? My answer is the problem's with me. And so I took all that garbage off the wall,
Yeah.
and I never put it up again. And so that is something I think every human needs to wrestle with. Who are you when the plaques and the medals are gone? You need to answer that question. Because if the plaques and medal, if that's the requirement that you have to make sure people know who you are, I'm sorry, man, you got a problem.
I've never heard of it put like that before, Scott. And we all do that to some certain
We
extent.
do.
We all put up our, we'll call them metaphysical medals out there. Social media, for sure, is a big one. As you mentioned before, putting out all the successful things in our lives and putting up our trophies and our awards that we win in our offices and our homes, so that when people are presented to us, or we are presented to them, we are able to give them this picture of, this is who I am, this is what I've done.
So if you come into my office right now,
Mhm.
you'll see some pictures and some stuff laying around. There's some stuff in here, and but it's not set up so that it's set up for me. You know what I mean? But if you were to go to my office right now, my work office,
Mhm.
there's only one thing in there. It's a picture of me and my wife and my son.
That is so interesting. I think you have a lot of people second guessing themselves right now about what they've got in their offices and why.
Yeah.
Because I'm guilty. I'm guilty of that. I'm guilty of hanging stuff up in this look at what I guess I've been able to achieve, and I never really thought about, why do I have those up? Are they for me? Are they for people to know my story? Are they for me to, give them some premise of who I am and what I've been able to accomplish, and hope from that they think of me a certain way? Maybe. I don't know. I have to really
Yep. Well,
dig in and think about that.
I dig deep into this story. I gave you the Cliff Notes, but I dig
Yeah.
deep into the story in my book, and I do it for a reason, and it's not a condemnation reason at all. It's not what it is. This is about looking at yourself, okay? Because here's the question I want to share. I love that you responded the way you did, because I was hearing in your voice me talking to myself before, okay? It was
Mhm.
awesome to see you react that way. But here's the question. It's not so much why, it's what. What is it inside me that is not being fulfilled
Mhm.
that requires me to put these things on the wall?
Right. Is
Okay.
it as easy as significance? Maybe there's multiple answers, but is
No,
that
it's not
the
that easy.
driver?
Yeah. I think that is the superficial answer. Is
Mm.
significance is on the surface, but we need to get in the deep water. Okay. How about this one? Let's talk about me. Okay. Let's beat up Scott for a second, because I do this in the book, which is, and I love this because I love the vulnerability and transparency, because I hope the listener knows that we're not dancing around the issue. Right.
Mhm.
So for me, one of the things that I realized is that all of these awards and different things, some of them I didn't even believe about myself, right? What they call the imposter syndrome. I didn't
Mm.
believe I
Yeah.
was that good.
Right.
But if I put enough awards and plaques up there, other people would believe it and they would tell me that. And so I needed them. I never thought of it this way, but I needed them to look at all this stuff and go, man, he's a big deal.
Mhm.
right? And I hated that. I didn't want to ever hear that again. And you know what's funny? This happens all the time. Years and years and years this happens for you. I don't say anything about this stuff. And then people will get to know me about for over a dinner, things will come up and, Scott, have you ever done this or that? And stories will come up. I'll share some stories, be social.
Mhm.
And I can't tell you the number of times where people said, I never knew any of this about you. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Why did I not know this? And I don't say what's in my head, which is you never asked. I don't say that, but that's the truth. You never asked.
Mhm.
You were too busy telling me about your rewards and your plaques and you're this and you're that. And I was happy to listen because I was happy to know that about you. But I'm not going to go out here on a billboard and do that anymore. And you know what? I'll leave you with one other thing. When it came time to launch the book, leading up to launching the book,
Mhm.
I knew that I was going to have to do the very things that I dislike is I'm going to have to go out and have a website and it has all of the awards and the plaques. And if you go to my website, every freaking one of them are up there.
Yeah.
And they make me want to vomit. I'm just telling you the truth. I hate it. I wish I didn't have to have a website. I wish I didn't have to have Instagram. I wish I could erase all of it. And the only way people got to know me was because what I was doing was screaming louder than what I was saying. But that's not the way the world works anymore. Can't
Mhm.
reach people fast enough. So I have to go out and put up a fancy website. And I like it. But it goes against this very conversation that we're having. But I don't have a choice because people want to know, is this guy has he done anything to back up what he's talking about today?
Mhm.
Isn't that interesting, the dichotomy there?
Yeah, as you said, the things have changed. The world has changed, and you've got a beautiful website. By the
I
way.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not beating it up. It's just I wish I didn't have to have it.
No,
You know?
I understand what you're saying. I get that. I get that. Now, Scott, I have to ask, looking ahead,
Yeah.
what legacy do you hope to leave through your work and the stories that you share?
Yeah. Number one, the day I'm not here, I hope that everybody will say, man, that guy loved on his family like there was nobody else. Number one, loved and took care of his family like no, that was the number one thing in his life. That's what I hope. That's the number one thing. And it would be really nice if there are some people after that say, I was in a place I didn't want to be. And Scott stopped what he was doing to get in the hole with me and help me find the way out. And I've forever changed because of that. Those two things, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Scott, it has been a pleasure talking with you. And I know that our listeners and viewers will be able to get a lot of pearls of wisdom from our conversation. But in case they want to learn more about Scott Lackey, where to get the book, more about your speaking, where can they find out more of that information on that beautiful website of yours?
Easy one to look up because it's my name, scottlackey.com. And there are some special editions of the book on the website. You can learn about the speaking, my keynote speeches. I'm also, here again, I'm a published author as well. Excuse me, a published columnist as well. I write for a newspaper, and those columns are out every Saturday. And I have all of those stories on my website as well. There's some really good short stories there about these topics, by the way, all this stuff we're talking about. So that's on the website, scottlackey.com. But what really would inspire me and humble me at the same time is for the listeners to go get the book, Wake Up to Die Again, where we dig into great depth in 24 chapters, all of this stuff. I've already had some incredible feedback. And as we sit here today, it is a number one new release and a number two bestseller. And that is nothing I did. That is the buyers, the reader, the people buying the book. And so I would love it if the audience would join that story. And then I know, Ian, you and I both would like to hear if something in this discussion today or in that book helps you move a different direction. We would love, to share in that great news from you. And please share that with us.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about. It's about helping that one person move forward. And as you mentioned before, being able to step into that next best version of themselves.
Yep.
So,
and you're doing a great job at it because I've watched your reels and some of your podcasts. And that's why I'm glad I'm here today. So thank you for letting me share the platform with you today.
well, I appreciate that, Scott. And thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join us here. And as always, I want to thank our listeners and viewers for doing the same. And we'll wrap this up like we always do. Remember to stay positive, stay persistent, and know that mindset is everything. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for tuning in and being part of the Positive Persistence family. We're having a great time creating this content, and we truly hope it inspires you to embrace positivity and persistence in your own journey. If this podcast episode inspired you or entertained you, scroll down, hit those stars, and leave a comment or two. Your 5-star reviews and shares encourage us and help us grow the show. So until next time, stay positive, stay persistent, and remember, mindset is everything.